So I think, as you already know, this meeting is being recorded by the Parish Council in accordance with local audit and accountability. Members are reminded of responsibilities under the Code of Conduct, Standing Orders and the 7 Principles of Public Life, Selflessness, Integrity, Objectivity, Accountability, Openness, Honesty and Leadership. Recording is permitted, several of you are, during the public meeting, but not before it starts or after it formally closed. Please stop recording when the meeting ends. All good? Right, agenda. We'll move on to item number 1, apologies for absence. We haven't got anyone absent that I'm aware of, so nothing to disclose there. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Anyone got any declarations? No. Item number 3, co-option of councillors. Have we got any co-options in the room? No? Okay. Item number 4, public forum. Would anyone like to talk in the next 15 minutes? Okay, so we go from different, for example, right to left, so we'll go for you first.
Just to renew, I probably should as a matter of course, my email that I sent with an offer to assist with technical support. I think there's some cost savings to achieve there. I know you've seen the email, I think it's just proper to renew it in a public session. I don't expect a response, you consider that you're investigating in the future.
Yep, thank you. Next person.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Through yourself, I'd like to ask Sam Richardson a question, Councillor Sam Richardson a question, if I may. Can you tell me when you signed your declaration and acceptance of office after being co-opted on the 10th of November, please?
To the exact date, no, I can't at the moment. Unfortunately, I haven't got the information on me to. I'm sure the paperwork is available. I'm not sure what you're going for, but if you'd like to ask me another question, I can answer it in a different way.
Well, I'll tell you, you've done nothing wrong.
Ah, that's all right.
You have done nothing wrong. Mr. Chairman, can you tell me when you signed your declaration and acceptance of office?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No. At the 13th of October, when you was co-opted, you got up from the public area where I am now. Came round to the corner table to where Councillor Richardson is. Had the name tag put in front of you. And the words with the clerk, deputy clerk was, you've got some papers to sign at a later. The legal situation is, neither of you are councillors until which time that declaration of acceptance of office is signed. As I stand here now, it is my belief that both the meeting of the 13th of October and the 10th of November were both illegal.
Okay, well, we'll look into that. Thanks for letting us know.
Can I ask another question?
Carry on.
In the supporting document to the 13th of October was your application to join Holwich Parish Council, checked by the Deputy Clerk, former Deputy Clerk. In it states you have land or property rented or owned in the parish of Holwich.
No, it doesn't. I'm not in the this is my property is in Saracen's Head, and I have listed my property just for assurances anyway. My private property you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the application form is ticked as having owned or rented, and it's checked by the Deputy Clerk.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anything else?
I've got bad news. Just going back on that, don't you have to be living in the parish to be on the council?
No.
Okay, thank you. I've got a few items to bring on then. The only right in 8D is to put all passwords onto share drive, etc., 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 and keep a copy of the site. The reason this didn't happen 2 years ago, when we moved to the F1 group, is that they advised it was bad practice, especially as SharePoint, when it was installed, had been installed incorrectly. They had a hell of a job getting it all back right again. I don't understand why you want to go back down the route of letting people know where the hospitals are. It just seems diabolical to me. Agenda item 7, Clark isn't here, but I was just going to say that she couldn't speak because it's not until agenda item 13.3 that she gets approved as being appointed. So she can't talk to the council prior to that, logically. And then some numbers, you know what I like with numbers, I don't like them. So, the precept increase is nearly 19%. You've got people out there starving, living on the streets. They can't afford to keep spending more and more and more money. They're getting hammered by wages on accounts. They're getting hammered by South Holland, and now they're going to get hammered again by Parish Council. I just think it's wrong. And then moving on. Failings in broadband being increased by £840, was one of why. You've got this list anyway, so perhaps you could answer me sometime in the week. Grants increase, going up to £10,000, that's a £7,000 increase. Nature reserve was nothing, now it's 12k, I presume that's going to be for tree work, I don't know. And locking up, budget's going up by £2,660, no justification anywhere for any of these increases. Salaries is going up by nearly £60,000, which is one hell of a lot of money. Professional fees, ordinary professional fees, is going up by £3,400. Professional fees for utilities is going up by £4,000. And then events being increased by £3,250 from what the current year is. I just wonder what the justification for all this is. I do understand from when we met the other day that there is a bit of an embarrassing situation because a lot of money was overspent in this financial year, and obviously this financial year there isn't over yet. So it'll be interesting to see the finalised accounts and the AGR to return when it's done. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Carry on.
Good evening and hello. I'll keep questions as short as possible. My comments are based on using the council website at 1540 hours on Friday the 16th. Regretfully, supporting documents were added to the agenda rather than supporting documents, but with protective work, we suddenly found them. Minutes of the meeting of Holbeach Parish Council on Monday the 10th of November. I still notice draft notes on the website, but it seems they were approved on the 8th of December meeting. Could that please be amended? The events committee is still in draft for the 3rd of June 2025. Will that ever be approved? I previously sent comments to the chair about expenditure and other matters, so I won't go too deeply into that. I will refrain from discussing further the event that took place in December. Enough comments have been passed by that and others. And I was not there, but the figures supplied by an FOI raised my eyebrows. I will mention the budget shows an allocation of 2,500, which it seems to have been exceeded. I'll reaffirm my concerns about the level of proposed increase of precept. The draft was at 17%, and now that's increased to over 18% on the last published drafts. Anything double figures is an insult to the parishioners. I believe controversially that the council could do better to get the house organised before continuing as an events organisation. Priorities first, please. There are specifics that I know others will discuss. However, the increase proposed in contract should be such as the lock-up from 7,000 to 10,000, and other annual contracts should be reviewed and perhaps put out to tender. Indeed, perhaps like grass cutting, the lock-up should be part of the ground staff responsibility. Salary increase in mind is mind-boggling. It's anticipated, as is the anticipated professional fees. I smell something here, and speculation is right. Toilets 2 years ago, 8,500 was allocated. Last year, £9,000, and now you want another 9,000. Even though you have earmarked reserve, I do not see where the £17,500 was spent on the toilets. And the nicest possible way, it's not very good. If you have vandalism in any toilet, the coming and going perhaps should be monitored by recorded on a CCTV. So people going in and out and constant monitoring, you can actually gauge who could possibly be the vandals. Events of the budget was set last year, but not all of it used. Remarkably, and spent in the last meeting, it was set at 9,500, and then as the chair requested, it be raised to 15k. Effectively, therefore, it's likely to come in around about 50% increase on the actual money spent. I recall Sophie mentioning a couple of months ago that there was somebody she was going to contact in reference to chapels. I'd be interested to know if you've been able to make any progress on that, Sophie. I would also like to know the last year's 2 years budget, 20,000 and nearly £50,000 earmarked reserved, and there's no budget for the chapels this year. We'll need to spend something sooner or later. £50,000 isn't going to be enough. I've requested information on the planning matters and applications on the agenda will be discussed, and I will visit that in due course when we come to it. The Carter's Park charity. I've sent various comments about the chair regarding the registration and interest in the councils of Carter's Park charity. I don't believe that you've registered as trustees and you should have as a declaration of interest, and I think the clerk is looking into that. Indeed, I'm not sure if only the status of the 3 councillors who have signed up at the moment makes that a quorum for the charity. Indeed, the acting clerk herself is not sure if this was actually a live entity. It's been struck off the website, and I was told it was no longer part of Holwich Parish Council and shouldn't be on there. But the Farmers Educational Grant Scheme, which again is not part of the council and they don't contribute toward it, is included on the information page. So Carter's Park charity seems to be getting the bad end of things these days. There are also questions still unanswered. I'm not in a position to ask that here. Minutes of the meeting of the Holwich Parish Council on Monday the 13th of October. To resolve to agree Carter's Park Charity Management Agreement, it was proposed second resolve that the Council agrees to the Carter's Park Charity Management Agreement with the aim of clarifying the relationship and responsibilities. Is that now fully in effect? Item 5 was to agree the way forward for the Telecommunications Master Football Club. It was proposed, seconded and resolved. The Council resolves to agree the way forward regarding the Telecommunications Master Football Club. The matter referred to the charity as landowner, but the charity doesn't seem to be happening, so how can somebody refer it? And the parish is expressing an interest in a share of it. The clerk's email used for HMRC registration can be provided to the Master Company, who will be instructed to contact the charity for permission to liaise with the chair of the trustees. We haven't got a chair of the trustees. What's going on, please?
That's a hell of a lot of questions. So I think obviously we're recording this meeting. We won't be answering any of the questions at this particular time because I simply would have to look into it. So we're recording the meeting, we'll go back, we'll look at your questions. If you want to put them in writing, obviously you can as well, that'd really help. And then we'll get back to you in good time.
Can I just ask one more question, going back to the chapels, etc.?
Yes.
I think about 18 months ago, we had a meeting with the Conservation Officer, and we spoke to him about the railings on Edinburgh Walk End, the ones that the kids had broken. And he agreed that we didn't need to go ballistic on it, it didn't need to be the same as it was before, it needed to look alike, so it could have just been tubular, didn't need lead pouring into the bottom, which is how they did things in the 1700s, but nothing's been done at all. And then secondly, an easy fix was the guttering. I always get my ends wrong. Right-hand chapel, come out the door, turn right, there's a bit of guttering on your right-hand side, it's leaking. And it's been leaking 2-3 years, and it's an easy fix. But the longer it leaks, the more damage is going to happen to the chapels. I know there are drain on them for money, and I know some ex-councillors were quite happy to bulldoze them. I don't think you're going to get away with doing that. So that's it.
Yeah, Karen,
with regard to the railings, Rick, I have seen the quotes that was chased up.
Okay.
So that is one of my jobs on the to-do list, is to go back to them to try and get those actioned.
Good, because they need doing, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Look a bit messy.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely, I know it's full of dead people obviously, but it's a lovely part of Holwich, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's peaceful, looks nice, normally.
Is there anyone else that like to speak? No? Any comments from any councillors, anything? No?
Yeah, I'll make a comment, please, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Of course.
This is very addressed to the members of the panel. Panel's a long list. of things that we may or may not have caught up with that we haven't had time to do. It must be understood that this council is operating on a knifing. There are 6 of us, there should be, what's the full? 18. There are, that's it, 1/3. We haven't got a full-time clerk. We haven't got a deputy clerk. Councillors are having to do work that the officers normally do. It is virtually impossible to keep on like this and answer multiple questions about things happened in the past. So I beg you'll be patient with us. Hopefully we will get some more councillors on. The workload will diminish and we'll be able to deal with these things more efficiently. But right now, it's just about all we can manage to do to keep going. So please bear that in mind when you ask questions. Thank you.
Could I just have a slight rebuttal to that, please? As parishioners, we're paying a lot of money. As parishioners, we'd like to see things happen. As parishioners, we'd actually like to come and stay on the council, but there's lots of reasons why many of us can't or won't. And in the nicest possible way, until that situation changes, you'll find there's not a lot of 18 people who want to come and stand on the council. And we do expect things because we're paying for it. It's not our fault that the deputy clerk is not there, the clerk is not there, you haven't got one, you've got locums. We're the members of the public, we're just paying for the services. You're the people as an elected body or a co-opted body who are representing us. That's all I'm saying, that's all we're saying. And if there are things that are from the past, like the chapels and these sort of things, they're all in the budgets for money being spent on them. So therefore, they're in the budgets to be spent on, haven't we got a right to ask about it?
I don't think my colleague was implying you haven't got the right to ask about it.
No.
I think he was pointing out that we're low on staff, we're low on councillors. I personally am working multiple hours a day, each day for council things. I think he's trying to point out that we're trying our hardest and we will keep on trying our hardest.
It felt as if it was the parishioners' fault.
No, it's not. That's how it was
portrayed.
It's not parishioners.
Alright.
We pay rents too,
Yes.
as well as you. So it affects us also. But it's extremely difficult what we're trying to do to keep going. We're doing our best, but we can't do miracles.
Well, officially, sorry for butting in, but officially, councillors shouldn't be doing members and staff work anyway, should they?
No, they shouldn't.
So, I know what position you're in, and I know some of the reasons why you're in it, but when I was on the council, I had to do stuff that wasn't supposed to do, and it happened, and it still happens, and it ain't going to get any better while you've only got 6 councillors, unfortunately. There's one person who goes sick, and you can't have any meeting again, you're not core up,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm aware of
we're
that.
fully aware.
It's difficult.
We've got a long night tonight, so
Yeah.
move on please.
Yeah, I'm going home now anyway, Nick ain't a little bit.
Thank you.
See you, thank you very much.
See you soon.
See you in a few months.
Yeah.
Cheers. Good luck with your odds and stuff.
Yeah, you won't be seeing me for us 3 months. Don't feel function.
See you later. Thank you very much.
Okay, and then I'll move on. Because obviously I bet someone will point out your lovely glasses, I just want to comment that obviously I'm not entirely sure they're appropriate, but I have noted them.
Medicinal.
Medicinal. I have noted them, and it's just a comment that I'm not blind. Alright, so we're going to move on with the meeting, but I just don't want anyone going, oh, didn't you do this, you know? Thank you. Reports from elected members. Received reports from elected members of Lincolnshire County Council and South Holland District Council. Have we got any, please?
Not really. We've had Christmas since the last meeting and now I can't see properly, so I'm really going to have to catch up on it, unfortunately.
No problem. Right, minutes. We're going to move on to item number 6, minutes. Now, to approve the minutes of last meeting. Now, unfortunately, the minutes are not complete from the last meeting as of yet. We've still got to work on that, as I said, Christmas, multiple other things. We've been really concentrating on the budget, etc. So they're not complete, so I don't believe we can sign them off. Would anyone disagree with that? No.
Okay, I'll propose the third.
Yeah, seconded. All in? With you? Right, number 7, I think one of our public pointed out about the clerk's report. The only reason I haven't changed when the clerk's report is because we haven't got one, so there's no point deferring it, etc. Okay, so we haven't got a collector's full, do you want to vote on that?
You don't need to.
No, fine. Item under 8, Finance and Admin Committee to approve the bank balances as of the 31st of December 2025. I understand the bank balances are CCLA Public Sector Deposit Fund £395,518.43p. I understand Barclays Business Premium account to be £63,922.34p, and I understand Barclays current account to having it exactly £3,000 as of 31st of December 2025. Everyone happy with that?
I'll
Yes.
propose that.
Propose that, second it, all in?
Yeah.
Thank you. To approve the payments list to date. Has everyone got a copy of that payments list?
I've reviewed it, I've printed a copy, I've reviewed it. So you'll have to bear with us because our clerk, because she's been away, she hasn't got access to our payment system, so she's done it via Excel. So some things we're still teething through. In terms of the payments list that was put onto the website, there's a few bits to note. All of the Microsoft payments come off of the clerk's Barclay card, so they're already within the Barclay card bill. I also know there's probably several months worth on there because it's just when the invoices come through from Microsoft. So that's one thing. The payments to Eon and Green Zone and F1 Group are direct debits. So whilst it's worth noting them on the payments list, they're not payments that we'll make on the banking because they've already gone out, or will be going out later this month. Just double checking a couple of the invoices. I'm not quite sure why they've been resent through by the suppliers, but the one for Crusader Traffic for Remembrance Parade installation and Southland Security, both of those were paid in October, in the October payments list. So for some reason the suppliers have resent those through so we can deal with that, but they don't need to be done. And then the only other thing is the Barclay card. On the list there's 2 payments for the Barclay card. One for, one's for £2,619.45 and one was for £927.35. Not exactly correct, I'll just read it out. The one for the Deputy Clerk's Barclay card is £1,483.07. The one for the Clerk's Barclay card is only £126.36, that includes the Microsoft payments. The one for the Parts Team Supervisors one is the £927.35, and the one for the Groundskeeper is £82.67. That totals £2,619.45.
Right, okay.
So you can see where there's a bit of confusion,
Yes.
which is just the clerk getting used to our system and things like that, not having it fully functioning. So just as a total, the total of all of the invoices that need to be paid is £19,368.20. The total for the Barclay card is £2,619.45. That comes to £21,987.65. That's the Barclay card and the invoices, not including the general direct debits which we approved at the beginning of the year. The only one thing I would request after summarising that is we do have a matter for staff salaries. If we're happy to approve the remaining of the payments and take staff salaries into closed session, then that would be beneficial.
Yeah.
That'd be my proposal.
Is that your proposal? Seconded? All in? Yeah.
And we'll make sure an updated payments list is on the website so people can see it as well.
Thank you. Right, item number C, to approve and accept the income received today. Have we got any issues with that? Anyone notice any issues with that?
No issues, just that the total wasn't given, but it's £4,989.90.
Thank you.
So, good amount.
Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Opposed? Seconded? All in? Right, item number D, IT equipment and access. To resolve that old IT equipment be factory set and reused where appropriate. To resolve that all IT equipment passwords are stored both on Office Admin and SharePoint and as a hard copy in the safe. Has anyone got any comments regarding them two?
Just what Mr Stevens said, just because obviously I wasn't here when this was all done, so just to go over what he mentioned, so you'd only be fair as he had information that I don't know.
I think there's been a bit of a typo from what I requested to what's on the agenda.
Right.
So I think that's possibly where a little bit of the confusion is. So at the moment there is a passwords folder on the Office Admin which only the admin team within the office have access to. That has all of the passwords for the different accounts, and it does have passwords for some, but not all of the IT equipment, which has caused a bit of a predicament when we've been trying to get hold of things, passing that to new members of staff, etc., and things like that. So what we're basically proposing is we need to factory reset the old devices, because some devices have not been properly factory reset, they've then been reissued, causing problems. Some of them will need to be factory reset so we can reset them up if we don't have necessarily all the passwords and things for them. And then moving forward, so we don't have the issue again, and again I've spoken to Adrian and I'm open to suggestions, but the idea would be to make sure that we've got a backup plan. So if that is making sure properly that they're all on that passwords folder within the Office Admin drive, and also a hard copy in the safe as a backup plan, it's just basically making sure that what we're agreeing is being done, and then we don't have the issues again of not being able to access IT equipment, because it's council property ultimately, and it needs to be able to be reissued to members of staff when we get new staff on.
And as I say, I think me and Sophie have been in several discussions about it, because obviously I do IT for a living, and there obviously might be some money associated with that for the factory resets and that. I will try and take on most, if not all of that myself, and if we do need to, I think we'll come back one way. If we come back and we get an estimate if I can't achieve it all myself.
Yeah, we'll have to see, we'll get a list. If not, it can be done through delegated powers, but it depends on the costs and things like that. But hopefully we can get it done in-house.
Is there anyone with any issues with them? No?
No issues with passwords, Mr Chairman. End of the day, these can only be accessed, must only be accessed by staff members. There must be no possibility of us getting any access to them. So therefore that needs to be dealt with thoroughly. The correct measures put in place to resolve that. So I suggest that's put forward.
Yeah, I would comment, obviously a safe is a written document, it goes in a safe, fine, yeah. SharePoint, I've got, at this particular stage, without doing any research whatsoever, I need to understand who's got access to the SharePoint, because it's great putting stuff on SharePoint, but we don't know who's got access at that stage. I haven't had time to check into it. So I've got a bit of an issue at this point with the SharePoint, because giving access to something you don't know who's got access to it would be a bad mistake.
So what I'd be suggesting is, yes, we do need to double check, and I agree, because it's been a long time since I've been aware of how the system's set up as well. But the point being is there should be and I believe there still is, because there's still that passwords folder on there with access to members of staff, that should be the Office Admin team. So yes, whoever that encompasses, that they have access to the passwords, which includes all of the different accounts they need to access, but should also include the IT equipment. So when I'm saying put it on SharePoint, if we're not certain who has access at this time, then it doesn't need to be done. But when we are certain that it is secure and it's okay, then put it on as a backstop rather than just keeping it in the safe. Because if people need to access anything remotely or anything like that, it needs to be on SharePoint if they're working from home every time.
And there's also I think I was expecting someone to jump in, but there's also far better software out there than SharePoint to store passwords on. There is a lot of free software available where you can. I have got an issue with SharePoint. SharePoint and passwords doesn't sound good to me. I think we should be using better software that's password protected before you even get in.
That's fine.
Um,
Whatever the solution is,
yeah,
I'm happy as
so
long as they've got access to it.
I think this is like to resolve an IT equipment to factory reset and raised. I don't think no one's arguing about that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. To resolve all IT equipment passwords are stored in Office Admin and SharePoint. I think that item, I don't know if we can amend it on the spot, but I disagree with the SharePoint part.
So can I suggest then we amend it and we say we'll have a hard copy in the safe and we will put another copy on a reputable password storage software?
Correct. I'll be happy with that. Yeah.
Yep.
Proposed? Seconded? All in? Thank you. Right, we move to item number 9, budget and preset request. Right, we need to discuss the budget for the financial year 2026-27, the resolution. Now, comments please, because I believe we have comments from Sophie, like has got some suggestions, etc. So would you like to go there first?
Well, I was just thinking, is it worth going through each committee in turn? I know we've been through this and members have had a long time to have a look at it, but given that we have got members of the public who have made a few points tonight, if we take it stage by stage and agree a section to make sure we've gone through thoroughly and are happy that all of the increases are either justified or have been reduced where possible, then we're showing we're doing due diligence, aren't we?
Yes.
And if anybody, members of the public, have got some burning points they want to say, I would suggest we invite them to speak. At
Yes,
those points as well.
I was going to say that, like, normally at this point we wouldn't allow, but discretionary, so if anyone has got a comment, put your hands up and I'm happy for that. Right.
So if I just start off with the Finance and Admin Committee, one key thing would be the insurance. We've set it at 15,000, which was the same as last year. However, I believe you've had the meeting with the insurers and
Yes.
we're awaiting the renewal, but it is likely to be more than the 15,
Yes.
slightly more. That's for this financial year, so going into next financial year we need to be allowing a little bit more for an increase as well. So
It was advised up to 16,
yeah,
so another 1,000 on that.
Could that come out of contingency? Oh, you haven't got any contingency reserves this year. Right, okay.
yeah. So I mean, if you're saying up to 16 for this financial year, then you need to be a bit more lenient for the following financial year, because that could. So probably 17, but be more safe.
Yeah, up to lower. He mentioned, I've done the meeting with Isabel, but
Yeah, no, he said that he would expect it to be in the region of 16-ish for this year, but yeah.
So-
Until we know, we don't know, but we've got to allow for enough for next year, that's the most important thing, isn't it? And if you were to have a claim or anything like that in this next financial year, then next year it will go up, won't it? So,
Is there a way of putting that into contingency reserves then, so that the money can be utilised elsewhere rather than sticking it in insurance, and then it's there to help with other costs if need be?
I mean, you can put some money into contingency. It doesn't necessarily matter as such, because once you've got your insurance premium through, which normally comes through about now, halfway through the year, hopefully a little bit earlier next year, if you haven't spent all of that, then that money is available that can be transferred to another budget at that point. So approximately halfway through the year, you'll know. Yeah.
so the proposal would be to up that 16 we know we're going to need, what, another 1,000,
I would say
17?
17, yeah.
Okay, well, we need what we need, don't we? It's insurance. Right, so anything else on that?
I have just one thing. So in the grants bit, we've upped it to 10k, which seems like a lot, but I truly believe that if you have the opportunity to give back to the town of Oxford, then you should do it. You're charging them for it. But I was wondering if it would be feasible to have some of that money in I'm going to call it an additional discretionary fund. More to the idea of, say, the district councillors have a discretionary fund where they can give money out to things. I was wondering, as a parish, if we could do the same, because I have an example of the lights of Whole Beach Christmas lights that is put on by a third party that is a charity, that is going for charity status currently, who do an awful lot of work for Whole Beach without any recompense from the council at the moment. And I think what they do, if they weren't to do it, we wouldn't feasibly be able to do it, therefore theoretically Whole Beach would be without lights. So the reason I asked for the additional discretionary fund is it would be available for the council to give out money rather than be requested for it. And if a certain thing was beneficial for Whole Beach but was not a charity, then the council could give said money to. Is it not feasible?
You can do that in the grants pot. That's not a problem. In terms of the district budgets, we have to be requested the money anyway.
You do have to be
Yeah,
requested.
and there's a form that they have to fill in. So it's not too dissimilar to our grants process, to be honest, and there's rules as to what groups you can and can't give to. So it's very similar. The Christmas lights, they have applied for grants before and received them. So there's no reason why they can't do
They
that.
have, and same for if the Whole Beach and Blue, if that is taken up by other people, that will also be able to take it out.
Yeah, so that's not a problem.
Carry on.
Sorry, are you missing questions?
Yes.
It's only brief two actually. Just to go back to the insurance point, is that EL and PL only? 16,000 pounds a year?
No,
Can there be a bit more as to what it encompasses?
it covers all of our buildings, public
okay.
liability, and employers' liability, legal, all sorts of stuff, loads of bits and pieces. It's quite a vast, and there are very, very few companies that actually now insure parish accounts.
That was going to be a second question. I was having inquiries been made with a broker other than Gallagher as to whether it's cheaper elsewhere.
We have tried that in the past, and we have come back to the same people.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Lastly, the contingency pot. Just a comment. Good intentions. Not sure a public authority should just be giving money away when it's not requested. I fully get where you're coming from.
It just doesn't seem to sit right. A discretionary fund of which would have to be passed by full council, but could be, if there was a community event that hadn't requested but the council saw fit that it was beneficial to Whole Beach as a whole, rather than a significant person requesting things, it could be, those people haven't asked, but the council should be involved with it. Because, so it's trying to open it up to other things that are going on in Whole Beach that may not know or know how to or not want to request for money. It was more of that suggestion.
There's no reason why we can't go out to people, do better PR, make them aware of the grants part. The main reason we haven't is because it's been so small that it gets used up very quickly.
Yes.
So if we have got a bigger grants
we
pot,
can
we can promote
That
that.
makes me happy with what I was discussing yesterday. So.
Chair.
Just to follow up from that, it's all very well saying about discretionary funds. You've been talking about events, but then that's a separate subject. There are events we've got money budgeted for, or apparently got budgeted for, but you're now opening up another stream of money for events, are you? Or not?
I know, no, it's not for our events, it's for like the Whole Beach Lights.
Other people's events, well, can't they come out of the events budget?
Not necessarily events per se, because it would be difficult to say that would warrant. But my main example are the two things that might be coming up is definitely the Whole Beach Lights and the Whole Beach in Bloom is something that we should help with. Would you agree?
I think that the Whole Beach in Bloom is a significant beautification of Whole Beach, which it needs obviously, and I think we all agree on that. The issues surrounding the infrastructure of Whole Beach in Bloom is a problem because even if you put £5,000 away, it isn't going to be enough to cover it. It's the time it takes to produce all the plants and buy them all in and do it, and the watering and the problems we've had with that before. It's a big thing. Whole Beach in Bloom's a good idea. Is it a priority for the council when the chair has already passed some comments? That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Right. I want to go each section by section because I keep hearing events. I'm going to sort that out later. I'm going to comment on that later. I don't want to keep going on the same subject. I think I've told so many people the same thing. Right, so with regard to finance, admin, no further comments, no?
Excuse me, just one more. You mentioned open source software earlier on, and I see we've got big increases coming up for the email and software licenses. Is there any more opportunities for using open source, and should they be sought for doing so?
Well, that has to be looked into, and as I said, we're fairly low on staff, and this takes people to look into it. I know we have even people who could volunteer to look into that sort of thing. We've had, but at the moment, no. At the moment, we need to work with what we've got, and then try and improve things.
For future, perhaps we could.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just saying, a large source of the email and software license is not so much the email, it's more about like finance cemetery packages and things like that, which obviously limited ones on the market for councils of our size. So
Yep.
that's the majority of that one, to be honest.
Right. Right. So we've moved that. We're moving on to Open Spaces Committee. There's quite a list there. Is there any comments regarding that?
Oh, did you want to, is this one where, going back to Mr Stevens with the metal railings around the nature reserve?
Yeah, I can come back on that one. So, obviously the two things that have been brought up by members of the public is the nature reserve and why is it 12,000? That is because the fencing around the nature reserve is in a very poor state, and we have had quite a lot of comments from the public and reports that people are getting in there and actually trying to swim in there, which is not a good idea. So we do need to do something with that fencing, and the figure that we put together was 12. Now, you know, if we're having to shave things off, then I'm happy to shave a bit off of that and maybe go down to, I don't know, 10 or something like that and try and get a better deal, but it is something that does need to be done.
I know this is outside of budgetary as such, but
Excuse me.
sorry, Mr Chair.
Thank you. Carry on.
Thank you. I know this is out of the budget as such, but if you're going to be spending money on doing the nature reserve, can you perhaps look at the whole viewing area and the other use of it? Because I think that's important. If you're going to have it as a public asset, then I think it should be able to be accessed, but not obviously swimming in it and that sort of thing, but more of an access. But that's away from budgets, I do
That was the
appreciate.
point of the 12, was to be able to do something with the whole look of the place and make it more user-friendly. And then obviously the other thing that did crop up, I believe, was the locking and unlocking. Well, that has changed because we now lock Hallgate Cemetery, which wasn't part of the contract when it was initially set up, but now it is, because again we've had antisocial behaviour down there, so it was requested that we lock it again. So that is an extra amount that is now required for that, and it is on a 3-year contract, so we're only a year in, I believe.
And that includes Hallgate, does it?
That includes Hallgate.
Yes.
And that includes Hallgate, does it?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm happy if we need to shave a little bit off of that budget for the nature reserve. I'm happy to remove a little bit from that if people want us to.
I'd suggest that's quite a vital part of Holbeach.
It
And I
is,
think
yeah.
if the money's going to be seen to be spent somewhere, making that area of Holbeach as nice as it can be, surely it's got to be.
I get that, and I fully understand that, but we are in a position whereby we've got a huge increase, and I, for one, am not happy to ask the public to pay that amount of increase. And if every committee can take something off, we will be getting somewhere. But if we're not prepared to take anything off anywhere, then I'm afraid we're going to have a very unhappy set of public.
Sophie?
I think it's useful when we're doing these ones to have a look at the amount of budget total for each committee from last year to this year. So like for the finance committee, you're only approximately just shy of £1,000 more than last year. So that's not really where our increase is coming from this financial year. From open spaces, it has increased a bit. It decreased last year and now it's increasing again to 91,000. So there's a small increase. So if you were to shave a little bit off, that might do a little bit in open spaces. But again, it's not where your kind of key increases are from the public's point of view if they're trying to look for them. But nevertheless, it may be areas where you could shave off. In terms of the toilets, because I just remembered that was also brought up, there was, God knows how many nominal codes for toilets because new ones kept getting created. That includes the change in places toilet and the normal toilets. It has been noted by a lot of members of the public, councillors as well, that something needs to be done with the toilets. Either we're going to provide decent toilets in the park with security, etc., done properly, or they're not really usable as they are. But we have provided a change in places toilet that we didn't have to fund ourselves because it was grant funded, but that has also been vandalised and it now can't be used. So again, we've got to make the decision of whether we're going to be repairing it so it can be utilised and it's an asset for the public, or we're just leaving it. But if we don't put any budget in, then we haven't got any opportunity to do anything. In terms of the fact of we budgeted previously, yes we have, and that's why there's 9,000 in earmark reserves, because it wasn't spent last year, got safeguarded into reserves, so that gives you then a decent pot to do something with and actually provide rather than half-assing it as such.
So, Isabel, I know you're heavily into open spaces. I think you're pushing to decrease it slightly.
Well,
Would you like to lose 1,000 from it?
I'm prepared to do what is necessary, but you know, there's no point me reducing my budget by, you know, £2 grand or whatever if no bugger else is prepared to do anything. So, you know, this is discussion mode. Then we're going to have to make some really critical decisions, and you know, there are things where significant amounts of money could potentially be saved, and other places where very little can be saved. So if we go through it bit by bit and work out where there's possibles of saving, and then we will make our proposals as to what we are going to do and what is viable.
Sophie?
Is it potential that you can reduce a little bit of the tree work? I know, again, I apologise to members of the public because the earmark reserves figures are not up to date. We have spent money from that. So, and we haven't got 25 grand in the budget, but we have managed to complete an awful lot of our tree work this financial year. We have now got everybody qualified and up to speed so they can do work. So do we have, I think we've got about, what, 9,000 left in the earmark reserves? Approximately.
Around about that.
So do we need 12, or are we just saying that's basically for emergency tree work that our own staff can't cover, in which case we're happy to reduce it a little bit?
Yeah.
As an option.
Sensible.
Yeah.
Top of page 2.
Yeah, tree work, 12,000.
So how much do you think about reducing that by?
Well, I mean, again, if you took 2 off and left 10 in there, potentially.
So that's a potential saving. We can consider how much.
I don't suppose we got any further with the tractor shed and how much that was going to total in the end.
No.
No.
No, we're still in the early stages of that. Everything else, I don't think you can really do anything with, to be honest.
Well, theoretically, that is £4,000
Potentially.
potential £4,000 savings there. So if we put that in potential, go and look at the other ones and come back to that if we.
Yeah.
Would that make sense, Chair?
Yeah.
That will bring it down to below last year's budget.
Yes, it would,
so
yeah.
you've kind of brought it back on open spaces.
So if we do that, that would come at 87,220.
We'll move on to Mr. Clark, HR, HNS and DB, is it?
Yeah. This one.
Now, I believe you've got some recommendations regarding this.
Okay, so we did say that we hadn't looked at staff salaries properly in the last meeting, and HR was going to have a look at it. We had an informal catch-up after Christmas, not a proper meeting, because we're not, with the way we've got it set up now with the staff salaries, we don't approve the wages at this time of year. Everybody is set onto a generalised salary scale, that's approved, we've got a pay policy. So unless you're going to be doing job re-evaluations, which have to go through HR and the full council anyway, or you've got vacant positions, ultimately you're just keeping everybody on their contractual scales, and the actual increase is dealt with by the MJC externally. So we don't set wages at budget setting formally. What we are considering is there are a lot of possibilities in the next financial year, as I'm sure everybody will appreciate. There's a lot of unknowns in terms of staffing. So we've put together some calculations which have been circulated to members. They're not circulated to members of the public because they include confidential information and staff salaries, obviously, to try and work out whether, for the various if, buts and maybes that may happen, what amount in the budget we need to actually cover ourselves. But there are a number of amounts. So what we've discussed is the current staff salaries, to firstly explain, it is not a major increase. Unfortunately, there were some issues with last year's budget. Particularly members of staff were not even budgeted for. So over the course of the year, while the budget was 150 grand, our actual spend is 192. So when you compare that to what's in the budget, you can see it's not as scary. So we can only apologise for that, but that's where we're at. So we're working on the baseline of our current situation is 192,000 approximately. So you can then see where we've got to. The option council have got is either you're playing it safe, and for everybody's reference, that is option 1, where you're pretty much kind of sticking with roughly what you've got and you're doing contractual increases, etc. And that brings you to approximately 202,000. So it's slightly less than what we were estimating when you dig deep into the numbers. Or, given we have got uncertainty and we have made certain decisions about what we possibly are recruiting for, you've got option 2 and 3, which are fairly similar but just slightly jigging around with the roles and things like that. And they both come out at roughly, basically 192,000 will cover either option. Now what I'll say again is we're not agreeing the specifics, they are just there for kind of background calculations to go, would this work, would that work, where we're heading. The actual agreements of any of these things will be coming back to council as and when, at the appropriate times if we decide to do them, but it's given us the flexibility to make those decisions. So you've either got safe option of 202, or you've got a slightly scaled back conservative option of 192. So I can manage to get it about 15 grand off the staff salaries budget. That also then does obviously just the NI and the pension as well. So when you calculate the NI properly for that 192 grand, that works out to about 25,000, and pensions on that rate is about 6,000. So
25,000 on the 192.
yeah.
So then the 20,000 that you were saving has gone onto the national insurance, so it hasn't actually saved it, it's kind of just shifted the figures.
It's shifting the figures around, but when you do put that into the overall spreadsheet, it does make a decent amount of difference to the percentage increase. Adjusting those staff salaries alone from the one that's gone out to the public to this one takes us from about a 19% increase to more like 16%. So not massive, but it's the biggest change we can probably make without doing a bit of tinkering.
I would suggest that option 2 is probably the best, because I think option 1 is too much, and if we're shaving money off, option 2 looks like it covers all bases with a little bit of movement if it goes either way.
Yeah.
The other options, I think option 1's too high. Honestly.
I would say option 1, yeah, it is high, but could I bring everyone's note? I want to bring clarity for people to look at option 2, because it does it does involve reducing hours of some.
So therefore it's not like for like.
It's not like for like.
No, they won't be like for like. So the main difference, which I can say publicly, the main difference between option 1 and your option 2s is not having 3 full-time admin staff. That's not meaning getting rid of anybody, nobody has to panic, their jobs are safe, but it's not having 3 full-time office staff, because we are at a point where things have changed and that gives the council the ability to make changes. So that is the main difference, but then as you will see as well, there are increases elsewhere. So it's basically shifting some responsibility elsewhere and reducing it admin and etc. etc. So there's swings and roundabouts to each option. It's not just saying we're cutting stuff, that's it. We're kind of re-evaluating roles necessarily in order to be able to facilitate that.
And I think that I brought that matter up because actually I think that's the main point of the options. Apart from other things on there, if you want to go for option 2, you are really saying exactly what Sophie just said. You're cutting back hours. I'm not. From my advice from the current clerk who's screaming blue murder at the amount of work I'm doing personally to try and make up for it, that could be a bit tight.
Well, not to be, but the current clerk's doing 2 days as locum remotely. This would have a full-time clerk back in it with a deputy and an administration assistant. That's 2.5 staff every day. That should be, they shouldn't have enough work to make them still struggle if we're full. The problem is you're looking at it from the place where we're not fighting fit. When the staff are all back and all working, 2.5 members of staff a day, it should be plenty, I would advise.
Given where I mean again, I'm coming from a position where throughout the whole time I've been on the council, we've never had 3 full-time office staff. So
it does seem excessive.
I'm just considering from the public's point of view, if we're spending wisely, there are rethinking about how the roles work best and making savings of the software working better, improving our processes, procedures, potentially certain things we've discussed about, maybe better outsourcing from an admin point of view. There are ways and means of looking at it to try and make it more efficient, and that's not dumbing down all of the work that the office have done. It's saying that from the point of view when you've seen it working well, we've never had 3 full-time office staff and we've never been, no,
so you can obviously have our own thoughts on that. I'm just bringing up that we've got to look at this carefully. Isabel, I know you've got your hand up, so it's public member, so it's your first.
So I will reiterate that. I have been on this council for 20 years. When I first joined the council, there was 1 member of staff in that office. Then it went up to 1 plus a deputy, and it's only in the last 4 years that we've had 3 members of staff in that office. Now, if we could, I know there's a lot more going on, and I know we've got a lot bigger. However, if we've gone from having 1 to having 3, and we manage to function quite well for the rest of the time, then we have seriously got to think about whether we really require 3 members of full-time staff.
Thank you, Isabel. We'll go to public because he was first.
I'll
Go on, Tim.
Part of the issue here was we had the 3rd member of staff deal with their archiving, which desperately needed doing and hadn't been done all those years. This is the problem. It was only able to be done in those days because half the job wasn't being done. So the fact of the matter is these tasks are now being taken and done, and whatever way you look at it, we need 3 members of staff now, and assuming that devolution ever takes place, we're going to need a lot more now. So I don't think I really don't think it's workable. In all fairness.
Okay, thank you. I don't know the details of your options, but obviously the lower figure is always the better one for us sitting on this side of the fence. But I understand what you're saying about the reduction, therefore, in the national insurance and so forth. I agree with what you're saying about the reduction in staff hours and the amount of increases we've had over the years for it. This is contentious, but over the last 2 years, I've seen the amount of work that's been done by members of the office staff to support the events team, and that amount of hours should have been spent on elsewhere. You are not an events company as such. I know you will do events, but you did spend an awful lot of hours, And the Freedom of Information Act that came out recently regarding the Christmas fair highlights the amount of time that's spent on that, which should have been done on other things, particularly in the office when you have a problem. If you've got a problem, that's the area you should be concentrating on. But that's just my feelings. Can I just ask one question, which is coming down from that a little bit, about the council training? I see you've got a £600 for this year and then £500 working budget. Was £600 spent last year? There's nothing in contingency or emergency for that then in that case, was there?
No, I mean, when we get to the end of the year, we put all of the money into reserves and then it gets divvied out into earmarked reserves as to what the priorities are. It's not automatically carried over in a certain budget heading.
We can't obviously go back and forward all night for the rest of the night because we've got a thing, but carry on for now.
All right, just very briefly then, can I not suggest that council training is an important figure and should have been utilised?
Yeah. Thank you. Did you have to say?
Yeah, if I may. I understand what you're saying, Isabel, about staffing, and you're quite right in that we didn't have anything like the number of staff years back, but it was a much simpler job then. New regulations, bigger council, so on and so forth has upped that. I am concerned that we're falling behind now on the admin side. We're gradually slipping, and that there's going to be a training ladder to climb for whoever comes in. If this were in a year's time, I would say that you're right, but I think at the moment, I think we need what we can get, and the people we can get in the office to get us over that bulge.
That's my only concern. I'm not sure. Yes, we're trying to save money, but I'm not sure cutting staff when we need. I would like to see the staff and then go, yeah, we can cut them because we don't need this many. Not cut them in a predicament that we're in at the moment.
We're not cutting staff, we're cutting hours.
Well,
That's a
hours.
That's a big difference. You're still going to have 3 members of staff in that office, but you're just going to reallocate the hours as to who and where and what. That was the option. You're not saying we're getting rid of a member of staff. That's a big difference.
A brief question. I suppose it's more of a freedom of information matter, but it's probably a good point to ask it. Of the net salaries, can you disclose, or I say you can disclose, the band of your highest employee in gross terms? So if that employee was paid £45,000, you would say they were paid between £40,000 and £50,000. Can you disclose the band? I'm not asking for the employee, just the gross band.
I will double check that before I discuss it, especially given the situation we're in.
Fine. I just want to know how much of that is weighted into one person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which the weight, just so you're aware, the weightings change within the options dependent on, because that member of staff is not here currently. So it depends on what happens, and those options cover different scenarios.
Does the options also cover our current predicament, obviously paying staff that are on sick leave, etc.?
Yes, as much as I can discuss it. It covers your various options. So all of your roles that you have, all of the members of staff that are currently employed will be catered for within this. So nobody who is currently employed needs to be worried, but we are at a point where there will be options to consider. We've started considering some of those options.
Yes.
And therefore, there's a little bit more discussion and debate with this budget than there would ordinarily be.
I think we've got a lot to go through, so we can't go through it all night. So it's a simple question of the councillors in the room. Are you happy choosing an option at this stage, or do you want to go to the default, which is just the max, that covers everything? Like, we need to have some sort of indication where we're going here. Tim?
This is my amendment first.
Well, can I suggest that we go on to the next section, get through everything, because clearly that one is a sticky one.
Yeah.
So let's get through everything else, see whether there's any other savings, Because my attitude is going to be right at the end, well, if I've saved a bit of my budget of open spaces, where's the rest of you saving your budget? That's my attitude, so let's get on with it and let's see where other people can save some of their budget, because so far I'm the only one that's done anything.
Right, okay.
Just before you move on, in terms of, I know a member of the public raised it, professional fees in HR, that has been increased a bit. Obviously, professional fees we pay for a HR advisor, but there have been other services that we've utilised in the past that hasn't been budgeted for. That can be reduced a little bit, but it's a safety net.
Okay.
So, again,
No problem.
happy to reduce more from my budget.
Okay, so we'll move on to the PPS committee. What have we got here?
The big increase there is the utilities, isn't it, the coup rate that you'd said that
That's
is what it
good,
is.
because it hasn't been budgeted for
Yeah.
correctly this year. Until I can see a full year of bills, I don't know what it is likely to be. All we can look at is what it was the year previous and add a bit,
Yeah.
if you see what I mean. So if you're going back to 20, whatever it was,
2024-25 was £8,000.
it's £8,050. So with everything going up, then it's likely to be more than that, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how I've come to that figure. You know, everything else, the only thing that I can suggest, and I know this is controversial, it's only a little bit, but quite frankly, we are unable to do anything with our speeding stuff at the moment. We haven't got the manpower to deploy anything. We've got everything we need. So, you know, you can shave off the 500 quid, which is not a lot, but, you know, at least it's saving you something for 1 year. Because we have already got all of the devices. We have them all. It's just the manpower of putting them out that we haven't got at the moment.
Can I ask, professional fees, I see 4,000 added there.
Yes.
What's that about?
Well, you've got all of your properties that still need to go through the land registry. Not all of them. There's still some that need to be done. If you've got leases or if you've got anything that's coming up, they are going to be professional fees. You don't get a solicitor for very cheap nowadays, do you? So, you know, hence you've got to have some money in there.
But so why the 4,000? Because we've got a backlog on stuff that needs doing.
Yeah, but you haven't got any of your, you've got 2 of your properties that are on land registry. Well, 2 of the older properties that are on land registry. The rest still need doing. Yeah.
And there's several leases that are coming up. The 5,000 that's in EMR reserves, again, some of that's been spent on the current leases that are being done. So that's not necessarily backstop either.
As you say, you've got a huge rise in there.
Yeah.
With the hyphens or dashes under office cleaning utilities rates, were they not earmarked last year?
No.
So there just was no budget
Yeah, so
allocated to
trying to align some of the stuff with last year's budget was a tad
Yeah.
difficult. Again, we have rejigged it to make it easier to read as well. So some of them are not direct comparisons, but a lot of the stuff for properties was just not budgeted for.
Right.
Has anyone else got any comments? Aaron?
150% increase in staff training? Question mark.
Going back to HR.
Can't really be more specific than that.
Yes, again, there's been a number of courses and our basic staff training that's been identified that was not being done. So, yeah, we need to make sure that we've got enough with the refresher training year on year, and HR, our next job, will be doing a full training programme for all members of staff. But especially a lot of the professional courses like your health and safety and tree work and things like that tend to be quite expensive. So, yeah.
Have we got any other comments regarding that at the moment? Before we move on.
Very quickly, where you have something like this training that you're spending money on, is there anything within people's contracts, if they leave earlier, there's some rebate time?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, okay. We'll move on then. Okay. So, events committee. Any challenges? etc. Go on, Isabel.
But you know what I'm going to say. How are you going to deliver any events other than the key events that you have got in your calendar this coming year, unless you can muster up somebody that's going to do everything for you? I don't see how you're going to be able to deliver it, so I don't really see what was the point of putting in an increase into your budget for this year. You haven't delivered what you plan to do this current year, so why are you increasing the budget to deliver more next year? Because I can't see how you're going to. That's my personal opinion, and I just think, you know, I agree with what Pat said. First and foremost, we are here to deliver the services that are required of us, first and foremost. I'm not saying I'm against events, as you all know. I was part of the events committee for some time. I do events outside of council as well, so I'm not anti-events. But we have to get our priorities right, and currently, in my view, do these simple events that are going to cost you very little, but don't try and do anything too big, not for this year, then build on it next year. That's my personal view.
Can I, because I keep hearing it's gone up, I keep hearing, I've heard of multiple, I'm seeing a figure of 14,415 against a figure of 14,500. What are we talking about, £75?
£85.
£85.
But that money last year wasn't spent.
No, I'm not, the thing was the budget has gone up, the budget hasn't gone up, what, £85 it's gone up.
Yeah, no, I said you had a budget last year and you didn't deliver on all of those events, so therefore you didn't spend all that budget, did you? So
no.
Therefore, moving forward, why are you putting yet more money into the events budget? If you didn't spend it this year, then surely you're not going to spend it next year if you're trying to deliver the same things. And you can't deliver any more than you did this year because it's impossible, you've got less people. How are you going to do it?
I'm not going to, first of all,
not yours.
First of all,
No, it's our problem.
Before we go on to that, I think, as the chair of events, I think I don't want to be doing this all on my own. So, have you got any comments, Tim?
The fundamentals of it is, yeah, I mean, you have a situation where my learning colleague over there has offered up some paltry recompense from the budgets for the open spaces, but she had a £4,000 increase to start off with. In our case, it was an £85 increase. As far as the events that didn't take place last year, that was due to the extenuating circumstances, due to weather and due to failure to carry through on certain things that should have been done. Yes, there's certain events that didn't take place, but the money was there, and the money was unspent, and every event came in under budget anyway. All the money that was unspent went back into earmarked reserves for other people, so it isn't as though the money was wasted. And as far as it's concerned, the kind of events that took place, should have taken place last year, we'll make sure we do this year. And as far as the large event, again, you're referring to the Christmas fair, which was massively well received by the town.
I didn't say anything about any events in particular. What I'm saying is...
You're saying more expensive events?
I'm saying that to put on a large-scale event takes people, manpower and time, all of which we haven't got. So why are we trying to do it when we haven't got the manpower or the time to do it?
Because we are planning a different way, and we've never had a problem with having the manpower previously. We've always got the manpower at the last minute if necessary, which neither of you, the two of you, bothered to offer your service in any way, shape or form in any of these events. So therefore, you can't say that. Everybody's pitched in, they all do them, and they all take place as they're supposed to. So there's no issue of these events not going ahead. Did you have a comment, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, so I think my comment was there aligned to that. I think you're looking around the table and going, who's here to do it, more than, and you're looking at immediate vicinity. We're not saying that, two people, me and you, Tim, are suddenly going to run all these light scale events on our own. We're saying we're aiming to pull in other people, yes. Come on, Isabel.
Okay, So A, you have no committee because you're not quorate,
Yeah,
so therefore everything comes back to full council.
Yeah.
So it is a full council decision and not a committee decision currently. Secondly, all of your paperwork, all of your stuff that you need to do was being done by a member of staff,
yeah.
which we have not got the manpower to be able to do that. So who is going to do that? And yes, you can get volunteers to help you on the day, but they cannot do the work for you as a council because they're not part of the council. So you have to, the people sitting around this room are the people that will be doing the council work. Then once it comes to the event, yeah, by all means you can have volunteers to steward and all that sort of thing, but to put on the event, the council will be ensuring it and making sure that everything is done correctly. So who is going to be doing that bit? Because all I can see around here now, and you're saying to me on a daily basis that you run ragged, Adrian, so
Yeah.
who's going to be doing all this? Don't understand.
Right.
The staff want to keep employing, basically.
Yeah.
Sam?
Well, that's what I was going to say that, the staff that we're going to be employing. Not the bit
It's
that...
not part of any of your members of staff's job descriptions, so I'm sorry, as
I
HR,
think
I've
it
got my
should
money
be
put there.
acknowledged that Becky did an amazing job with the events last year,
She did.
and the work that she did above and beyond what she was paid for was immense.
Yeah.
I know for certain that because I run events, I couldn't do it to the level of what the parish council requires because I don't understand the paperwork enough.
Right.
I doubt you do, unfortunately.
No.
I'm not sure if you know the paperwork inside out, but
Yeah, well, that's the point.
the fact that Becky did it for 12 hours and sorted all the paperwork out, I just can't see where that would come
If
from.
I come in on that point, Mr.
Wait,
Chair,
can we... Yeah,
sorry,
sorry.
the issue is primarily the fact that whilst I can do the paperwork, I'm not allowed to do the paperwork. As our previous, our clerk, our current clerk as is, has told me on many occasions that it has to be done by members of staff. It cannot be done by...
It can't be done by...
So therefore, it falls within the remit of the staff anyway. So
And that's what I would... that's what I want to be clear on. Like, God, the amount of people that attack an event, so you're not an events committee, blah, 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 blah. I think one of our public members pointed out how well the Christmas event went down. I know we was attacked on social media for our events. 2 seconds. We was attacked on social media via events. Oh, blah, 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 you're not an event company. If anyone watched that post, I think they'll find that the public are well for the events in Holbeach. So I think I want to stop this lark with that sort of thing. I do get the resource issue being pointed out. I do understand that that's clear, there's a resource issue. But if we're being told by our own clerk that event paperwork has got to be done by that way, and if we're wrong, then obviously we'll look. But we have to go with the advice we're given at the time. Go for you.
You have your say, Paul.
Oh.
I'll have plenty of say, and
Yeah.
I'll come back in a minute.
About staff helping with events, I don't see a problem with that, I really don't. If you've got a district, you won't find that the councils are organising the events, the staff are organising it.
But they have specific officers that is their job. They have enough officers.
It could well be, but
Yeah.
some of the basic paperwork, I'm not suggesting they go out and volunteer necessarily, but Becky did do that.
Yeah.
But there are some things that are better done by staff than they are by councillors. If we take Isabel's point, there won't be events.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I think the difference is when we're saying the paperwork, it depends on the scale of the event as what you have to do for SAG. We do all the paperwork SAG, we've dealt with that for large scale events. Typically what happened before with the events committee is all of that paperwork was dealt with, it was then agreed by the committee, signed off, went off to SAG. As long as you appoint an event safety officer who is there at the event, that doesn't have to be a member of staff. It just has to be done correctly and signed off by the committee. In terms of the paperwork, yes, basic admin stuff and things could be done by the members of staff, by the admin team. But there is a difference between filling out a form and physically organising the whole event. The actual organising of a large scale event in terms of dealing with the emails and everything from all stall holders doing the arrangements of who's arriving at this time, everything is a lot of work, and that is down to the committee members to do, because as we have seen with the Christmas fair, the number of hours that it would take members of staff to do an event of that scale means they're then not doing their primary job, and it is not within their job descriptions to organise those events. By all means, assisting with any health and safety paperwork that needs doing, assisting, but not organising a whole event from start to finish, which is what happened for a committee, and the committee not necessarily doing that much apart from helping them down.
Okay, thanks. Right, can we move on to the public member, please?
Very brief. You made a comment about the events company and what is done on social media. I will pass a comment that yes, I did make a comment that it had gone up by 50%. That was based on a video I saw you with a budget of 9,500 push up to 15,000. I apologise for you on that one, so I want to make that perfectly clear that that's where the error came from, and also the fact that the budget wasn't the actual budget specific wasn't very clear on what has actually been spent as what was being budgeted for. So I did want to make sure you understand that.
Yeah.
I will say that value for money, I don't think that the villagers get all of the effect of the money that we're putting into it, unless we come all the way into Holbeach. When you look at small events like Netherfield, which is what Isabel is talking about there, Netherfield, small amounts of money, proliferate them, they become good events, they become popular events, and they're cheap events, but they get you focused. They're never going to be the big, Holbeach is the big event place to be, which is what some members of the council would like it to be. It never will be.
Can I just respond to that point? Perhaps I made there a quick one. Just quickly.
Yes.
For what it's worth, Pat, that's exactly what we were going to do with the Netherfield event, was take it around the villages, because it was so successful and so cheap to put on, and that's what we plan to do this year.
Unfortunately,
Two seconds.
So to give you an answer to that.
just a very brief rebuttal on that one. It's very good to have that, now you're telling us, but we don't know that you're going to be doing that because there's no committees, because there's no minutes about what's going on and everything else. So therefore, we're here in the dark, and this is where some of the problems come from, where we're sitting here on one side, you're sitting over there planning all these wonderful plans, spending all this wonderful money, which is our money, and we don't get any response of what is actually being done. So if you're doing events like that, fine. Start sticking £4,000 into doing events and losing money on it and that sort of thing, well,
No, well, thank you for your comment, and I think Tim's already said that's what the plan is, and obviously the plan will come to the full council, etc., etc., etc. But, Sam?
I think it's good that they're going around to the local towns. I think sometimes the parish council forgets that it's a parish and not Holbeach centric, which it's easy to forget, but unfortunately there are. So that's brilliant that that's going to go on. I was just crunching some figures, and I think one of the big things that probably needs to be recognised by everybody is that the increase in the precept is roughly £65,000, which £60,000 of that is fixing a mistake that was done by the HR department last year. So the precept is going up by 19%, where realistically it's only going up by 2 or 3% with all the suggested increases. It's the wages error. So the figure looks horrendous, and it is. 19% is a horrendous amount, but it's not. That's not a realistic figure, because it's being burgeoned by the mistake done by wages last year.
but it's the money that can't...
It is, but unfortunately, if it had been allocated properly last year, then it wouldn't look like such a huge increase this year, because the wages would have been taken into account. So the 19% is a massive increase due to an error that can't be sorted out now. So I wanted to be recorded that the event's going up by £85, the £4,000 going into these things that are hopefully going to have things done in town. That doesn't equate to 19%. No. The wage restructuring and sorting that out is where that 18-19% number comes from, and it's unfair that that has been put on now, but it has to be done due to the fact that you cannot not pay wages.
Thank you, Tim.
That's my only point that I can make about that.
Sounds sort to me, just one little thing there. That's all well and good that the mistake was made. Shouldn't have been made.
I completely agree.
You shouldn't be paying for it.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
Can we cut? keep things in order. Please.
It might be my own personal confusion, the events income line, how can income be minus? I don't follow why that's minus 4,800.
Because when you calculate the precept, you do all your all your income in minus figures.
Yeah.
And then all of your outgoings in normal figures, and then the expenditure minus your income, it just makes it easier with formula, is your precept.
So is it in essence that the events committee has run at the £4,810 loss in the last financial year?
Oh, so you mean why the amount of income is reduced?
Well, that reads to me as though you expected to make 4,800, you expected to make something, but you had to bail out. You had to write an additional 4,810 because you didn't make it and you expected to make it. Maybe I'm wrong.
The amount of income that the events made was significantly less than what was budgeted for.
Okay.
Isabel?
Right, this is my final point. I don't care where you save your money from, but I fundamentally disagree as a ratepayer of this parish to have an 18% increase. I get what you're saying, and yes, mistakes were made, and yeah, it shouldn't have happened, but the people now are going to be given a rates bill whereby they are paying a huge increase. Now, if you all want to go out there into the parish and you explain to them why they are getting this huge increase, be my guest. But I am not personally going to vote for it. So you can try and find your savings where you like. I've offered up some, Sophie's offered up some. Can't see anybody else offering up any. So let's try and all work together and try and find somewhere else where we can save some money. And I get we want to do an events, but I cannot see the logic in putting 15 grand into events. Surely to God you can shave off a little bit from your events. Be the bigger person and say, absolutely, we agree, we will take a little bit off of events because other people have taken a little bit off of theirs. That's all I'm asking you to do.
All right, thanks, Isabel. Before I comment on that, and I want to check with you before I say things like you don't agree, etc. Someone a bit better than maths at me can rack off the calculation, the percentage. So, Isabel, what have you offered?
I haven't. What I've offered 4 grand off of my open spaces budget. And then there's the 500 quid off of the speeding, which is...
what I'm looking for is a percentage compared to what...
I haven't
well,
done
the percentage, so you'd come in at 87,220 for that, and then obviously you can't take into the HR because you can't...
to be clear, the percentage of what was asked for when we started this meeting to what you've removed,
so what are we saying we've removed, just to clarify?
£4,500.
And what percentage
so
is that?
far?
4,500.
Yeah, so that would bring that down to 4,555.
I don't see it coming.
4,500. 406,000.
406,000.
955.
Yeah, see, again, the budget that's on the website has not got the updated tax base on it. So that is worth noting as well. It doesn't have the increase to the insurance on it, and doesn't have the amended.
Okay, but I'm asking for the difference.
Yeah, I'm asking for the difference, but it depends on what budget you're calculating.
Well, no, there's a figure here and there's a figure there.
No, right. So the way you calculate your percentage is based on the tax base, the number of Band D properties.
No, I'm not asking for that percentage, I'm asking...
Percentage of £4,500 of 87 grand.
Yes.
What percentage is that?
That's what I'm asking.
The percentage figures that are given on here is the percentage...
It's irrelevant. We want to do this. Sam's doing it.
It's a simple question.
Sam's doing it.
Isabel has basically quoted blah 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 blah. She's giving this, so I'm asking what the
that would
percentage.
Take it down to 17.67%.
Yeah.
With
no, I'm asking I'm asking the.
No, you're not listening. The percentage figure that is on there is the percentage increase for a Band D.
No, I'm not asking
that. No,
that.
you are, because if you wanted to know what the update, if the
Does anyone understand?
Can you just let me speak? The 17% that Sam has just calculated is an updated percentage figure increase.
That's
Yes,
what it is. Yeah,
it
we're
is.
taking that 4.5.
I'm not asking that.
No, so you are.
No,
because
I'm
you're-
not.
Are you wanting to know an updated percentage increase?
No.
I can explain what it is. From what I can see, Adrian said, what you've given in the way of your area,
Yes.
as a percentage, not as a monetary value, as a percentage, what
Yes.
you're giving up, what are events supposed to give
Oh, you
up,
want
and
to-
Yes.
so therefore they want to compare.
Nothing to do with that.
Not the valuation money, which is irrelevant, because 100% of nothing is nothing.
Yeah.
So you want
That's
£4
what
grand
he-
off
that's what he's
91,000.
So you
Yes.
want to know how much, but that's
Yes.
not how much percent it would be decreased by.
No, that's not what I
What
asked.
he's saying is, how much you've given away as a percentage back from your section, from your budget, as opposed to what
Yes.
events is a percentage, which is ridiculous
Which
because
is
it's a
that's
monetary
absolutely
value,
Because
and
you've
it's
got
a
a tiny
priority.
bit and I've got
And
massive
it's not
bit.
like doing chalk and cheese, it's a
Yeah,
priority
exactly.
of what you
Yeah.
have to do and things that you don't have to do but would like to do.
Yeah, right. Well,
Yes. No.
It's just going to give us a figure, isn't it?
Yes.
No,
No,
it's
it's
not
not
going to
gonna
give
give
you,
you
it's a
a
load of rubbish, you're talking out your
Sam's doing
backside.
it.
Are you saying that you want whatever, if you've taken it down by 7%, then he needs to take it down by 7%?
Yes.
That's what we're looking for.
Which
Yes.
is absolutely ridiculous, because that's going to be about £2.10, isn't it? I mean, what's the point?
It's ridiculous.
It's
No, wait a minute. Let's ask the question first. 4.48%.
So take 4.48% off our figure and see what it looks like. And if we live with that, we'll go with
So if
that.
I've taken a massive percentage off the salaries budget, are we using that percentage as I said then? Is the salaries as well?
The challenge was
Sorry,
I've
because
taken
that's
this
not
one.
how you,
4.4% of that would be
fiscally, that is not how you do a bloody budget.
£600.
Which is ridiculous.
This is
£600.
Absolutely
That would
be
put it
the
in that
same
much as it.
percentage. You can't go back
That's
to
ridiculous.
parity.
Right.
Can we not argue, please, because
Yes.
it's particularly polite, we don't need to.
Did you say £600?
£600.
That would be roughly the same equation.
So, Tim?
I would say take £600 off the budget.
Oh, no, I'll go more than that.
All right.
I'll go,
£700.
no. I'll go, let's call it round numbers, £1,000 off
I
of it.
think it's pathetic.
Wow, that's a big old chunk.
That's a big old chunk.
How are we gonna make that?
That's a decent offer.
Well, fair enough if you do then. If that's it, we're a committee. I don't.
You're not
You're
a
not a
committee,
committee.
that's the whole point.
We are a passive one anyway.
You are not.
So we're here. So you give that 7%.
Sorry.
We go at 10.
Could I ask? So, I'm for events. When it first started, when we opened all these up, Sophie and I were part of the events committee, and we started quite a few events that have been quite fruitful within the town and carried on. My question for the public and for myself, who lives, works, has children in Holbeach, if you could give us some ideas of what you are planning, so that it kind of gives us a clue within the next year what you would like to offer to the council to do, so then at least the people can kind of look where, and as people who have run events, we could realistically go, right, so he's thinking about doing that, and that is actually going to be a 10 grand event rather than a 2 grand event. So therefore we have a little bit more, because we're a council and we're working together, it would be nice for the people and for us to know what the plans are. And then hopefully others might be able to go, actually that sounds like a really good year's events calendar we're in, and that's why we'll accept that money. Can you see where I'm coming from?
Yes.
I hope that's not too...
That's fair.
Yeah.
Tim?
The end of the day is we're doing the things that people have asked for. They ask for things that involve music in the park, because they're very popular and stuff. Obviously, the statutory events we have to do anyway, for sure. The Halloween needs to expand every year because it's really taken off in a big way. The Christmas Fair has become a major thing for the town, which we want to bring back in a much bigger way, in a better location. And also other subsidiary events like the Netherfields event, the event taken around to the villages as well. There's a wide range of different things that we're going to be doing, and having something that's different, something that pulls people in, something that marks Holbeach as being different. Because this is what brings the positive PR back to the council all the time. The fact that we run these, the public recognise that we run them, they support them, and that gives them the odd bit of good feeling about the council. Otherwise, all they ever do is throw brickbats at us. So it's a fundamental part of this council to run events because it's so important. And it's the thing the public holders really appreciate. So that's why we do it.
Isabel?
Okay, so your list that you've just given are exactly the same list as you had this year, less. So this year you had a budget of whatever it was and you didn't spend it all, so therefore why do you need more?
Because we need to actually deliver all those events we need to set up.
Yeah, but you,
And we're doing
what
additional
you just
events. We're doing additional
said,
events. We are doing
you
additional
haven't
events.
said any
We are doing
additional
additional events because we're doing the taking the other fields ring around the villages as well. That's the plan.
Can I ask if we're actually...
Oh, excuse me.
Can I ask if we're actually...
Excuse me. You speak when I say speak.
Okay, so...
Carry on.
Right, okay, we've gone from budgets into lots of different things now. I'm looking at the time and everything else. Should we have to have extension the way you're going at the moment?
Yes.
And I'm just thinking we're going into lots of areas there that are not on the agenda. I know it's budgets and money, but it just is a query. I want to go and have some coffee.
Yes, I was just going to, that's why I was just looking at the time. I was going to suggest a 10-minute break, coffee or something.
No, we've got stuff to do.
Well,
Honestly, we've still got loads of important stuff to talk about, Adrian, and I mean, we haven't managed to do hardly anything with this budget. This is a really important bit of our year, and thus far, I don't think that we have actually endeared ourselves to the public. And that is, you know, I know we have a job to do, but we are serving the public. Now, are we going to get our little heads around that?
Well, we don't have with the public. The public seems to like events, so...
Yes.
We're doing our job properly, aren't we?
Okay, so you are quite happy to pay an 18% increase
Absolutely,
on your
no
tax
problem
bill,
whatsoever.
are you? Really?
Absolutely
Right,
no problem
okay.
whatsoever.
Sorry.
Paul, please.
Can I just ask, because I haven't done it, I'm afraid, can somebody tell me what the actual cash amount per bandy or whatever it is likely to be at 17.5%? How much money are we actually
It's
talking
on
about?
£2.12 a week,
£2.12 a
which
week.
equates to £110 a year.
Sophie.
Sorry, can we bring a bit more sanity back to this and logic, please?
Yeah.
That's how it'll work. So, in terms of the events, rather than just plucking a figure of 15 grand out of the air, at the moment, so the list...
It wasn't picked out of the air, it was from last year. We just pulled it from last year.
you pulled the figure from last year.
You said we put it out of the air, we didn't.
No, but you haven't actually costed out your individual events that you think you're going to be delivering, which is how I would work out any budget, which is how I work out the salaries budget. So, we've got the Christmas fair, for example, that's been put on the list, yep? So, currently, in last year's budget, you had £2,500.
Yeah.
Now, are we saying that is sufficient, or are we saying that you would need more for next year?
Probably need more this year. It's going to be a bigger event, there'll be other
But
things...
are you
taking place.
planning to generate income from that event?
Of course we are.
Because
We
you
generated income from the last one.
So,
We always generate incomes because we charge for the stalls.
yes,
And
so how
and
much
the
is it actually
concessions.
going to, how much do you think is
I
actually
don't
going
have
to
the
cost?
information with me. And at the end of the day, this hasn't been debated or discussed with the events committee.
Because you don't have
If it comes back in,
committee,
you
because it's full council.
Yes,
And
yes.
the budget is set by full council, and we sort of need that information to set the budget, don't we?
Well, then we
So
need to plan
anyway,
it, don't we? That's
going back
that's
to
the
it,
thing to do.
£2,500, are we saying £3 grand to put on a Christmas fair?
Well, it depends if you're taking in the costs of the people who are working towards it as well. If that's if that's
No,
going
this is just spending.
that's just the spending.
Just the spending.
You've got quite a lot from this year, haven't you?
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
bought
there
already.
will be obviously significant traffic re-management issues for next year, because what we discussed.
Yeah.
So I really can't say. You're asking me for information I can't give you at the moment.
Well, we know roughly.
Well, in that case, let's defer the point and take it forward to other meetings. Then we'll have a chance to do it.
We can't really just
We know what traffic management costs.
Well, we
because
said
we've
we
done it
agreed
before.
we set the budget. We said we'll knock £1,000 off of it, which is
Right.
a bigger percentage than everybody else has done. So
As we've said before, we've run events, we know what the costings are. If you tell us roughly what the events are, we can work out a rough cost to demonstrate to the public it's actually just...
We haven't got that
Well,
information
no,
to hand. I think that's been pretty clear.
no, if you just tell me Christmas fair, we can work out roughly what a Christmas fair takes.
We haven't got...
well, you don't know because you don't run one. When did you run a Christmas fair last?
When did I... only about a couple of years ago, Tim, to be honest.
No,
With
I mean
traffic
a full-size town Christmas fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a couple of years
yeah.
ago, Tim.
Yeah, we did the first one back in the town, but hey,
There you go.
right, can I just make a point? Every other committee did their figures at their meetings prior to this budget being set. We went through it with a fine-tooth comb and we said next year we want X, Y and Z. If the events committee have not done said thing, then that's their problem. And quite frankly, the reason we put it up by £5,000, if I remember rightly, Adrian, was because you mooted that you wanted to do a drone display and that was going to cost you £9,000. To which we said, you must be off your head, what the hell are you thinking? The public will not do £9,000 for 10 minutes. Did we not?
Yes.
So £9,000 of that is a drone display, isn't it, as we discussed?
No, because we haven't decided on events this year, as we've just pointed out about 4 times.
So then why should we up it by £5,000 then?
So, I think we're going around in circles.
It goes circles, doesn't it?
We are. We haven't sorted the events out this year. We've offered £1,000 off the events in line with what others have said. So,
because I'm sure we all want to get away from this event.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is quite important. My question would be, if you haven't, which I know the legality behind it, I can't. So I get that because you haven't got quite. I get that, but we're not talking like that because we're talking like people just talking about it, right? If you haven't, and I'm not being purposely difficult, if you haven't come up with the events that you want to do next year, how can you possibly budget? Because you don't know what you want to do, you don't know how much money you want. If you run a boozer, you can't just sit there and go, I need 20 grand to do things, because there's no money for that.
Wait,
If you're a private business, you need to know what you want to do. So I would suggest that you're there kind of not laughing, but you're saying we haven't discussed what we want.
Brilliant, honest.
But you haven't said what you want, yet you're budgeting for it. To me, that doesn't make fiscal or event planning sense. None of that can work. Because theoretically, what the council should say is, you haven't got anything planned, therefore you can't have a budget, because you don't need the money, because there's nothing to plan. I'm sure that makes sense, and that isn't me being difficult. I'm just suggesting, I asked you what you want to do, you've said you want to do music in the park, which everybody likes the idea of, because it's a great event, and unfortunately with Mr Taylor not doing his event this year, we are going to be missing something like that. So if we could put something like that on, but that's going to be £5,000.
Probably. All of that.
Your Halloween is 3, your Xmas Fair is 3, and your smaller events, I've given you a low budget of £1,000, but that wouldn't cover a huge event.
No.
So that straight away, that's 12 grand.
Yeah.
That is your event. Because that is giving you a minor budget. You'll go well over that on certain things. So that's 12 for 4 events, which would then hit you 15 grand. So you won't have anything else to do. So you're saying that you don't have any events planned. The 4 events that you've said needs your money.
There you go.
That's where we want.
Well, then you just answered your own question, haven't you?
So they're the events that you want to do.
Yeah, ostensibly.
Yes,
Or a variation of that, that's the thing.
Variation of that. So, but you haven't planned it, and you don't know what you want to do, but that's
Well,
what you want to
they
do.
aim to do about 6 events through the year, basically, and obviously including the statutory ones.
You've just worked out.
6 events, including or on top of.
Including.
So you want Halloween, Christmas, Remembrance, and then 3 more events on top.
Yeah.
Right. 15 grand will be tight.
It'll be tight anyway.
Which we've already agreed 1,000 off of that earlier in line, so it's actually 14, and that's why we started off with this discussion 20 minutes ago, saying that's where we are.
We're also in end of January nearly now, and your financial year begins in beginning of April. So I'm just thinking, if those sort of events that you wanted to plan, obviously Christmas later down the line, fine.
My music part's got to be July or August, isn't it?
Yeah, so, if we haven't even decided the events yet, you're soon going to have to start fully planning paperwork on to start everything.
Which
That's
Tim is onto.
Right. So you're saying 14.5 down to 13.5.
Right.
Time like that, they're never going to get back.
Right. So, Are we going back to the beginning? Have we recalculated that, Sam?
So if you want to, we can't do it without the wages. Which one we're going to decide with the
Yeah,
wages?
so at the moment we've taken 4.5 off of
Yeah,
open spaces. How much off of the rents?
that was £1,000.
1,000. Alright, and then you need to know what wages you're going for.
Yeah. So events
And
is minus 1k, £500 for, what was it?
Yeah, the speeding cost.
Speeding, yeah.
And then it was 4,000 for open spaces. We couldn't take anything off the finance, could we? Same. So then it's wages,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can work it out from there.
yeah,
I was of the belief that you don't need 3 to 4 time members of staff, but that's just me. I might be wrong, but I can't see the warrant of,
so,
what would it be, 37, that's 120,
yeah.
oh, my maths has gone,
So I think-
37, 74, 111 hours in that office a week.
So really that is, as you've put it, Sam, that is really the choice we need to make. If we want to do the budget tonight, we need to make one of them options. Now we can either do it now in front of everyone and decide based on what I'm saying about look at your hours and agree with that, or we can obviously, if we want to discuss it in finer detail, then we need to move to a, but we don't particularly want to go there.
That's only if you have to reveal individual staff salaries.
No.
If you're not revealing individual staff salaries.
So are we in a position that we're happy to reach some sort of agreement on the hour reduction in order to enable option 2 or 3? That's where we really are.
You're not deciding hour reductions, you are deciding whether you want to go for a streamlined system or a...
Well, no, we are.
You are not at this stage saying, oh, we're going to shave off 5 hours from here.
Well, we are, because that's option 2 or 3.
Yeah, but you're not picking, they are there for background purposes only. You are not picking a specific option and saying, we're going to make this change to that member of staff. You're not doing that.
If you look at the way that I look at sorry to interrupt you, but it's like the events budget of 15k. You're not sat there going, what I've written down here is £5 has got to go to the music park. You're saying 15 grand is there for the... So what the option A, B and C is just Sophie saying, this is the amount of money that needs to be there for it.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily agreeing whichever role it is, it's just saying we need the money there. So therefore, if we're going to try and save some money, option 2's the highest amount of the lower 2, ipso facto, that would make the most sense because it gives us a little bit of wiggle room with the money. If you go for the top one, it doesn't reduce your wages at all.
Going to close session.
It's not saying that you have to pay the people that, it's just saying that is the amount of money in the budget.
I'm not pointing out the pay part, because we'd have to move to closed session, but I'm pointing out the reduction in hours to enable option 2.
So you're worried about reducing it, right?
Yes, that's what I'm pointing out.
Right, we need to make a decision here. So the decision is, I'm going to propose that we go for one of the options where we are making a reduction in our staff wages bill. That's my proposal. Now, has anybody got a counter proposal?
I propose that we stick with the existing arrangements of full-time for the staff, because we're going to need them, won't we?
Okay.
And there's also issues within that be dealt with in closed session anyway.
Okay, so you need a seconder for either one, and then we're going to take it.
Well, okay, well that's the easiest way to do it, so we move forward. So,
I'll second the first option, because I've wrote it down.
who's voting for the first option?
No, you need a seconder for both options first.
No, you're
or-
meant to, no.
Oh dear,
If
sorry.
you've got proposals.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so we've got a seconder for that option, so who's voting for that option? Okay. And we've got Tim, proposal,
Proposed,
so
proposing for the first one that we stay where we are. We need all these people to get.
have we got a seconder for that?
I can't vote on that, but I need to know which staff are getting what, on existing staff, for example.
This continues what we've got already, that's the thing.
Yeah, that option needs to continue what we've got
No
already.
changes to staff.
There's no changes in anything. Got a seconder on that? I would second staying with that. So,
All right, I'm sticking with that.
so, have we so, second, I'll second it, so we've got a vote, who's in favour of defaulting? Three, so we've got 3 and 3.
Casting vote.
You've got casting vote then, Adrian, I wonder which you're going for.
Who is? This is a particularly tough one because you've got it does come down to the reducing hours to me. It literally comes down to, do I honestly think that we're in a position to reduce hours at this point? And it's tough to make that decision when we're not fully functioning. But do I want to be in a later position that I can't, I need more staff, we can't, then we probably have to go into other measures. Sam?
It's not to sway you either way, because I can see both points, honestly
Yes.
I can, and it's a difficult one. It's the only way that I'm seeing it is, we have unfortunately had the clerk who has been ill. Becky did a fabulous job at running the council as deputy clerk with the assistant there. She managed to do it, and I think, as far as I'm aware, she did a good job and everything was head above water with her and probably an under-trained assistant.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk out of turn,
Yeah.
and obviously I've only been here a couple of months. So if the council ran, obviously now you can't compare it to anything because we're running on 2 days a week,
Yeah.
so it's very difficult. But if we take it from Becky doing a really good job alongside an under-trained assistant and an ill clerk, if the clerk were to come back and you still had an assistant, but then you get an additional 18 hours of Becky, that would surely be enough to keep it going.
Easily.
Because you think the clerk is trained beyond the deputy clerk, or it would have been in this instance, one would assume.
Yes.
So the clerk coming back would then negate the necessity to have somebody, basically, because Becky was doing the clerk's job because of the clerk being off ill.
Yeah.
So therefore the deputy's job is going to be to support. Would that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, thank you
Yeah.
for saying. I understand what you're saying, I'd like to, and I need to watch what I'm saying because of obviously this is a public session. I would argue that you mentioned the undertrained bit, etc. I understand that one of them people was trained to basically file, scan stuff and put it into thing. He was never...
Yeah, and you're proposing to make him train, which we should do, utilise the staff that you have.
Utilise the staff.
Utilise the staff,
If we utilise the staff, right, and that person becomes more than we employed him to do, then I would argue that staff should have a pay rise, because if he has a pay rise, then that would blow out the budget, and that's why I'm difficult
That's
on that one.
accounted for.
Sorry?
That's accounted for.
Sorry, Paul?
Yeah, I can see both sides of this as well.
Yeah.
I'm certainly terrified about going to the public and telling them we want 17.67 increase. We're going to get so much stick. However, I can't make any comments on this stuff in a public session.
No.
I can only do it when the doors are closed. And it's very difficult.
It's extremely difficult because we can see the stuff.
Can we get back to the point? You've had your vote. It is a tie. It is down to you, Adrian, to have the deciding vote. Now, you've either got to refuse to do it and we're sitting stalemate and we can't set a budget, or you're doing it. One or the other. We all want to go home tonight, and quite frankly, we're getting absolutely nowhere with this. So let's get on with it. You have got the casting vote. Do what you believe in. You voted a particular way, so unless you've changed your mind, you're going to vote that same way, are you not?
Not necessarily that. No. Because of what I tried to stipulate, this is not about thing, this is about as you say, with the casting vote, I've got to make a call on that. It's hard because of how it's been presented. What would happen? I could put a question back. What would happen if my scenario arises? We train this person up. We don't require any extra hours. We train this person up, and as such, he would get a rise. Would our budget cope for that? He would go up a salary band.
A whole salary band?
Yes.
Well, it depends on what other decisions you make, that's the point. So you need to decide where you are putting your resources and staff, etc. This allows for one option, but if you were wanting to train up one member of staff and do a job re-evaluation for one, but not for other staff, because if you're doing one you don't need the others, then yes, you're basically in effect transferring budget from one area to the other. Again, what I'm saying is you're not setting this, and also we don't talk about individuals, we're talking about job roles. They're job roles, not individuals. So you have got enough wiggle room and options in there because there are increases given to some areas and decreases to others.
Right.
That's why there are also two options for two different sort of salary structures that both equal roughly the same amount.
Okay.
So you could, in effect, get about 26 different options from that,
No, that's
depending on how you would
Thank
do
you.
it.
Tim, last thing, then we'll move
Right,
on.
I think missing a point here was saying what Sam's point about reducing staff hours, etc. The problem is you can have people coming into the role who are completely new to this and take a long time to get them up to speed. We're not going to get that kind of hourly throughput of work for these new people coming in over this period of time. It's going to be probably a year before they can get themselves fully up to speed with not just the council work, but particularly our council work and the challenges of running a whole bunch of parish council. So
That's fine, I've heard enough.
So
I've heard enough. Right, we're going again?
What's your choice?
Well, my casting vote is we stay with the default, because that's the way I think at the moment. Right, so we stay at the default and we remove, where are we?
That's 200 and...
Which one are you calculating off of, Sam? Are you calculating off of the updated?
the one that was in your pack.
Oh, okay, right, so...
Do you want to do...
what we need to do, because this one's got the new bandy and all the other adjustments on, we'll have to add on to this in some areas, if you see what I mean.
As it's 8:30, I know you won't go home, I've
Yeah.
got work tomorrow, but could we have just 5 minutes to look at this?
Yes.
And then
We'll
we just
calculate it.
clear the head a little bit, and then is that all right?
Yeah.
I know you've got things
As
to
long
do,
as
so-
you only
As long as you...
5 minutes.
Well,
That's all
I propose we have a break.
Yes, indeed, yes. A second on the break?
Yeah.
Yeah, all in. A little break.
Sorry, members of the public, about that.